Hey everyone, this is the Millionaire Hippies podcast with your host, Boom Shikha, where we chat about spirituality, business, and health. We all want to live self-actualizing, fulfilling lives with joy, prosperity, and gratitude. Let's go on this beautiful journey together.
Hey everyone, welcome to another podcast episode. My name is Boom Shikha. And in this episode, we'll be speaking about how we're constantly manipulated by all of these different things all around us to be a number, to be less of ourselves, to be less bright than we actually are, to be less human than we are, to be consumers, and to be what the media and what those people who are creating this world want us to be rather than what we want to be. I've actually noticed a trend in all of the different things that I've been reading and a lot of the different things that I've been doing is that there's so many different ideas and thoughts that have been prevailing in my head. So they're actually set up in my head this way. And I think that this is how the world works. And all of a sudden, someone will present this viewpoint to me, or I'll see something, or I'll read something, and all of a sudden I'll realize that that's not how the world actually is. And all of a sudden, it kind of blows up my mind in a way, and I realize, oh, there is something more to this world than I actually imagined it to be. Just a quick example would be sexuality. Obviously, when I was younger, there were only two real sexualities that I was aware of. It would be masculinity versus femininity, male versus female, heterosexual, only heterosexual. And then I grew up a little bit more and I realized, oh, there's some people who actually are interested in the same sexuality, so they're homosexual. That's fine. All right, I integrated that into myself, and then now I'm learning so much about transgendered and trans people in general that I'm realizing that the delineations between sexualities are really disintegrating, in my mind at least, and I'm realizing that really you can be anything. You might look male, but you might have female sexual organs, which doesn't necessarily mean you're female unless you identify with being female. But you might look female and you might identify with being male. I mean, it's so complicated and so convoluted. So thinking that we can kind of put everyone into a box that is either female or male is so insane. But that is what people do. That's what society does. And that's what I was doing in the past. Now that I'm learning more about it, I'm realizing you can't do that anymore. Also, I'm learning about the fact that my own sexuality is so convoluted that some days I'm into female, some days I'm into men, some days I'm just not sexual at all. And so how can I judge other people for being who they are? If they are what they say they are, then that's what it is. How can I judge them for being that or not being that, or how can I even say anything about that, right? But for some reason, there's this thing in society where we feel like we're able to judge other people and tell them how to live their life. It doesn't make any sense to me because I don't know how to live my life myself. How dare I tell other people how they should live their life, right? That's just one example that comes to mind. There's other things where, for example, another example that I can bring to the table is fluoride toothpaste. For the longest time, I used Colgate because my mom used Colgate, because I bet her mom used Colgate, or it was just the brand that was apparent and really, really popular among all the different people she knew, and it had a lot of ads, and maybe perhaps there was an actress or an actor that she liked that used Colgate on television, whatever it might be. So I used Colgate because my mom used Colgate. I never even thought about it. I didn't think about the fact that it has fluoride in it. I didn't think about anything. I just blindly chose it because there's so many choices that you have to make in a day, so one less choice is great. Recently, I started learning about the fact that fluoride is actually really, really bad for you, and we should definitely not be putting something into our mouth that has fluoride in it. Obviously not drinking water with fluoride in it, and all that stuff. Not only that, but I believe that the sugary taste, the minty taste in toothpaste also makes us more addicted to sugar, which is again another nerve toxin, another poison to our body. So I realized that I can really easily remove the source of fluoride from my diet by just removing Colgate or removing a fluoride toothpaste and choosing something different, choosing a herbal toothpaste. It was such an easy choice to make, but I hadn't thought about it because I'd constantly be told by society, by the media, by advertising, by everyone, by the powers that be, that wanted us to use fluoride because apparently in World War II there was an excess of fluoride that was created for the war efforts. And now after the World War, they realized that they had so much of fluoride left over, they didn't know what to do with it. All right, let's just put it into toothpaste. We can just use it that way, and we can start putting it into tap water, and we can use it that way. So that takes care of that, and lots of people started getting fluoride into the diet when they actually don't need it. No one really needs it, and also it blocks our third eye, which is the reason why we should not have fluoride in our diet. The third eye is really important for imagination, curiosity, intuition, all that stuff, the good stuff. But because of the fluoride in our diet, we are blocked in that manner, which is again really good for society, because you can't have people who are really intuitive and really curious and really open in that manner and have them work in jobs that are deadening, or work in jobs that are zombie-like, or work in jobs that are degrading. So you need people to be dead in that way, so you can put them into jobs that are really boring and really deadening, and they will do those jobs without even blinking an eye because they're used to it. Again, that's another topic for another podcast, obviously. But what I'm saying in general is that there is an ingrained view that you probably have about everything on this planet. About sexuality, about fluoride toothpaste, about microwaves, about veganism, about water, how much water you should drink, about waxing. I mean, like every single thing on this planet, you probably have an ingrained view, a viewpoint on it that has been set by the powers that be. It hasn't been set because you consciously thought about it and decided, okay, I'm going to do things this way. It has been set by the people that are in charge because they want to sell you more stuff. They want to either sell you more stuff or kind of control you and make you do things that you probably would not do if you were more aware of it. So they're doing all of these things, either to sell us more stuff, like I said, or to control us. And if you could just realize that fact and start becoming more conscious about every single choice that we're making. For example, if you are a big makeup fiend and you put a lot of makeup on your face, do you do it because you like it, or do you do it because you've been told that if you don't do it, then no one's going to love you and you're going to end up single and a spinster with cats and all that stuff, right? Again, another image that has been put into our minds by the powers that be because they want to control women and make sure that we always get into a relationship and always are married so that we don't have our own powers and we're always in this patriarchal society, we're always bound by it, right? Another thing that we can kind of be conscious about. So there's all of these things, and the more conscious you become, the more you realize that I have all of these random thoughts in my head that have been planted there by the powers that be, by the corporations, by the advertising media, by all of those families that are in power that own the entire world's wealth, or 90% or 95% of it. All of these people are controlling our thoughts, and they're planting all of these seeds of thoughts in our head. And they're there because we weren't conscious of it. We let them plant these seeds into our head. And how do they do that? By advertising, by telling us things over and over and over again, by making everyone else around us do it so that we end up doing it because, well, everyone else is doing it, right? It's like, why do you get married? Well, everyone else is getting married. It's not necessarily something that you want to do, but you're doing it because everyone else around you is doing it. Why wouldn't you do it as well? The same thing with going to university. I never even doubted my path for even a second that I would go to university. It was something that was set in my mind. I would go to university, I'd get my bachelor's, and then I'd go to university again, and I'd get my master's, and I'd go to university again, and I'd get my, all that stuff. It was already set in my head. I didn't even think about it because I had been told since this time, I was 2 or 3 years old, that I'd become a doctor, so I had to go to university, I had to go to med school. And that thought had been planted in my parents' head by society and media, telling them if you're a doctor, then you're going to be free because you're going to make loads of money and everyone's going to respect you and all that bullshit, right? So this all has been planted into my head by years and years and years, decades of all of this media, all of these messages that are coming at you without even thinking about it. What happens though when we become conscious is that we stop watching all of this stuff. So we stop watching TV, which has all these random ads on it. We cut off all the ads that are on the internet, so we don't go on social media and all that stuff that kind of can get into our head. We move to a country perhaps where you can't even read the ads, so you have no idea what they're advertising, like I'm in Chiang Mai right now and have no idea if the advertisement is for makeup, or is it for water, or is it for skincare, what the hell is it for? I have no idea, and I don't care because I can't read it, and that actually helps me because I'm not inundated by all these advertisements all over the place. Which means I can have my brain power for myself. I can have my mental space for myself. I can use all that mental energy for creativity rather than consumption. Because I've said this before, and I've said this a billion times to everyone that I speak to, that consumption takes up a lot of creative energy. I know for myself, for the longest time when I was younger, I spent so many of my days, hours, and minutes just figuring out what I'm going to buy next. Either I spent it roaming around in a mall, which is again one of the worst place for anyone to hang out in is a mall. It is a dangerous place. There's a lot of stuff that you think that you didn't need that all of a sudden seems paramount, and you buy and you buy and you spend all your money that you're not supposed to be spending, or you could spend on something different. You could spend on your freedom rather than on crap that you're never going to use or is going to sit there forever and ever and ever. So malls obviously are very dangerous, but what happens is that I spend so much time either walking around a mall, either offline or online. So I'd be spending a lot of time online in online stores deciding what I'm going to buy next. And all of that energy, all that time, all that money that I was spending on doing that consumption aspect was not being spent on creating. So that was great. So I didn't have any time to create. I didn't have any time to write. But that's because I'm too busy spending. I'm too busy buying stuff. I'm too busy consuming things that I don't even care about, that I'm not going to use, that don't matter. And that helps, right? Because if I can numb myself in that manner, that's awesome. I don't have to worry about the fact that I'm not living my life purpose and I'm not living the life that I want to live. But I don't have the time to think about that. I'm too busy consuming. And that's how my life was in the past. The more that I'm removing all of this stuff from my life and the more conscious and aware I'm becoming, the more time is becoming available for me to be creative, to sit around and have all these conversations with friends, to be roaming around the world and exploring and doing all those cool things that I want to do with my time. Doing the things that I care about rather than doing things that I don't care about with people that I don't like because I want to make money to live in a house and buy things that I don't really want, right? And I think that's from Fight Club. It's so poignant because that's what most people do. They spend time, money, energy on things that they don't really care about because that's what they've been told over and over again by the media, by society, by the powers that be. And you really have to sit down and think about all of these thoughts that we have on a daily basis. Do I really need to get married? Is that really paramount? Is that really what I want to do with my life? Do I really need that Bose head speaker system that's $400, $500, $600 or $1,000? Do I really need it, or is someone else telling me that I need it? Do I really need to wear makeup? Or is it something that I'm doing because I'm afraid that I'm afraid I'm never going to get married, or I'm afraid I'm never going to be loved, or whatever it might be. I don't know what the reasons are and what your things are. I can't judge them for that. I know what my things are, what I've figured out for myself. And so I know that there are things inside of us, like patterns, neural pathways, that have been laid down there from ages ago by all of these media sources, all of this advertising, all of these people that don't care about us really. They don't care about our happiness. They don't care about our joy. They don't care about us being content. The only thing they care about is they want to make more money and they want to sell more things. And they want to control our mind space. And we give up our mind space without even thinking about it. It's so funny because you'll be so careful about not letting random people touch your body, but you will give up your mind space. We give up our mind space without even thinking about it to all this advertising, all this media, all these disgusting magazines that only talk about certain things. Now we're doing this on a constant basis. We're not even thinking about it. We're not conscious about it. And so the main message that I have with this podcast episode, because I've spoken about a lot of random little things, but the main message for you guys is to become more conscious, slowly but surely, about all the little thoughts that we have that we think are truth. We think that they are fact, but they are not actually fact. We think they're fact because we've been told them over and over again and because they've been really ingrained in us, but we really have to step back and say, is this actually the truth, or have I just been told it enough times that I think it is the truth? And this can be done with every single thought that we have. Every single thought about everything that you do can be taken out of that mold and examined and seen, okay, is this actually the truth? Should I actually be following these tenets? Or is it a falsehood that has been planted into my head because I want to be controlled by someone else? What is the truth? What can I use from this and what can I discard? And this is a step, this is a process that we have to go through every single day, every single moment, every single decade, every single time that we realize that we are in this pattern of thinking that might not actually be true. And we can do that with everything that we're going through, every single thing. And so I hope that from now on, when you have something come up and you think, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, this is how life is, this is how it's always been, this is how it's always going to be, I hope that you'll take a step back and think, all right, is this actually true? Is this always going to be, has this always been like this? And will it always be like this? Or is it just a random idea that has been planted in my head? And if you can do that, that in itself is making you a winner. That in itself is the grabbing your power back. You're taking your power back from these people who want to manipulate us into doing things that we don't want to do, but they think are good for either them, their economy, their corporation, their bottom line, their stock price, whatever it might be. I don't know what the details are on their interests, but I know that they're not my interests, and I know that they don't care about if I'm happy or not. They only care about if I can spend more money. Right? And so if I can't spend more money, then I'm useless to them. And if I can't spend more money, then I should be discarded. Just like old people are discarded once they don't have an income to spend. People don't care about them because they're not a consumer anymore. So why would you spend any time on them, right? Again, a lot of information in this podcast. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that we can talk about, a lot of things we can pull out of it. But I hope that you get the main idea of it. I hope that you will be able to use it in your life. I'll talk to you guys the next time around in the next podcast episode. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Go check out my website at themillionairehippie.com if you want more free, awesome content. If you really like the podcast, please consider giving me a 5-star review on iTunes. Until next time, namaste.